Good afternoon. I'm Lori Matson, President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the State of the Port's virtual luncheon, sponsored by McKay Sposito. Our region's three port districts, the Port of Benton, the Port of Kennewick, and the Port of Pasco, all play a key role in the economic vitality of the Tri-Cities by creating jobs, providing investment opportunities, and improving our quality of life. Collectively, they are an important catalyst for growth, and each district's work will impact the region for decades to come. Today, we're joined by all three Port District executives, Diane Howard, Executive Director of the Port of Benton, Tim Arntzen, CEO of the Port of Kennewick, and Randy Hayden, Executive Director of the Port of Pasco, who will deliver updates on their latest projects from their respective ports and will answer viewer questions. The Chamber has been working on some exciting projects of our own. For the duration of the legislative session, each week, the Chamber's Government and Regional Affairs Director highlights the legislative happenings in Olympia in a series titled Session Spotlight with Stephanie Swanberg. You can watch this series on the Chamber's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Due to COVID-19, we made the difficult decision to postpone the Tri-Cities Women in Business Conference, which typically takes place in January. It's postponed until it's safe to meet again in person. We took the opportunity, though, to call on past Athena Leadership Award recipients and assembled a great collection of inspirational books, podcasts, quotes, and more. You can find this collection on our website. Just head to tricityregionalchamber.com/2021-inspirations. We're excited to announce a new internship portal that is being piloted right here in the Tri-Cities. The Washington Workforce Portal is a statewide platform that serves to connect students across Washington with employers across Washington. The portal was launched by the Association of Washington Business in partnership with the Chamber, WSU Tri-Cities, and CBC. Using this new portal is completely free for both businesses and students, and we urge you to check it out. Head to washingtonworkforceportal.org to learn more about this exciting platform. And if you have any questions about the portal, please contact Brooke Merland, the Chamber's Workforce and Education Manager. Thanks to the generous donations from UniFirst Corporation and Tri-Cities Battery, the Chamber has over 80 cases of hand sanitizer to distribute to local businesses. Each case contains 24 8-ounce bottles of hand sanitizer. The cases are being given away on a first-come, first-served basis at the Chamber office Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 4:30. The office is closed from 12 to 1. If you need hand sanitizer, please come get some. Though the local business community has been hit hard by the health crisis, we're pleased that businesses are still joining and engaging with our organization for the first time. I have the pleasure of welcoming the Chamber's newest members. Chantel's Bridal and Formal Attire, Edison Valerio Agency, Colonial Life Kerr Agency, GLP Attorneys, Tri-City Monarchs 3 vs. 3, and Columbia Basin Services. Thank you all for joining the Chamber. Next, it's my pleasure to announce the February Member of the Month. Since May, the Chamber's Awards and Recognition Committee has recognized businesses that have positively impacted our community during this trying time. I'm pleased to announce that the committee has chosen Campbell & Company as the February Member of the Month. Campbell & Company is a family-owned company headquartered in Pasco. They have been an active member of the Regional Chamber for over a decade. Their business came out swinging at the beginning of the stay-home order, creating the Community Strong campaign, raising over $16,000 to purchase gift cards from local restaurants. They were then able to partner with the local nonprofit, Communities in Schools, to donate the cards to families in need. Additionally, they were able to purchase bulk amounts of toilet paper from a supplier during the shortage, and also partner with a local nonprofit, Rebuilding Mid-Columbia, to distribute to those in need. Congratulations to Campbell & Company, February Member of the Month. The sponsor of today's luncheon is McKay Sposito. Brian Cole, Tri-Cities Branch Manager, and Tim Schauer, Chairman of the Board, have prepared a short video for our audience today.
Good afternoon. We're excited to sponsor the State of the Ports as it's one of my favorite chamber events of the year. For those who don't know me, I am Brian Cole and I'm the branch manager and a landscape architect at McKay Sposito. Our group supports land development, public works, and the energy market sectors. Located at beautiful Osprey Point, we offer civil engineering, land surveying, planning, landscape architecture, environmental services, and construction management for our clients here in Eastern Washington. Our clients include ports, public agencies, private developers here in the Tri-Cities. We are proud to have supported them over the last 20 years. But enough about me. I'd like to introduce one of our thought leaders at McKay Sposito, Tim Schauer, former president of McKay Sposito and now our board chair and the director of land development. Some of you know Tim from his work with ports here in the Tri-Cities or on various boards and commissions such as Connecting Washington Transportation Task Force, Rebound and Recovery PPP Portal, and recently as a board chair of the Association of Washington Businesses, advocating for economic development across the state. We are happy to have him available today to share why McKay Sposito is passionate about the good work our ports do for both the Tri-Cities and the state of Washington.
Thanks for the introduction, Brian. I am grateful to be here and proud to help sponsor this event. My name is Tim Schauer and I believe in the mission of ports and the economic development role they serve. 2021 will be an important year for all of us, especially our ports. Given the unprecedented economic damage inflicted during this pandemic, the port's economic development talent and horsepower will undoubtedly be called upon as the Tri-Cities rebound and then recover in 21, 22, and beyond. I have committed my career to being an advocate and an active participant in economic development. Now, economic development means different things to different people. But for McKay Sposito and to the ports in the state, particularly to the ports on the east side of the Cascades, it means bringing jobs and economic development opportunity to every corner of Washington, not just the Puget Sound region. Working for ports comes natural to us because land development is a big part of McKay Sposito's history and culture. We do so much more than that today, but 45 years ago, land development was where we started. Land development is not just about subdivisions and shopping centers, nor is it just for private clients. McKay Sposito defines land development as any site development that improves the community which we serve. Sure, it includes housing projects, and parks, and schools, and industrial sites, commercial and office projects too. But it absolutely includes ports. For us, ports are where land development and economic development cross over. And ports appreciate the lean private development experience we can bring to the table. For us, ports are developers. They're just developers who have more than a single bottom line. We know the bottom line for ports is threefold. It's job creation, it's economic development for their constituents, and of course, some economic return that helps them reinvest in the next opportunity to serve. We know ports are sometimes the only economic development engine in their community. We know their communities need them to get it done and get it done right. The ports of Pasco, Kennewick, and Benton are shining examples of this mission. Each year at this event, we all get to see the amazing projects and the incredible positive impacts they're having on the Tri-Cities. It's impressive, and I'm sure this year will be no different. In some parts of this state, communities can take their ports for granted. They don't pay enough attention to their important work, only to wake up and get interested in the port when the economy is down and they expect the port can come to the rescue. Maybe this is where that old adage comes from, any port in a storm will do. Well, in my book, not just any port will do. In the Tri-Cities, this region has consistently supported, invested, and highlighted the important work that Pasco, Kennewick, and Benton ports have done and are planning to do. McKay Sposito has been here in the Tri-Cities for more than 20 years, and we are proud to say we have worked for each one of these ports over the years. We are so committed to the ports here, in fact, we located our Tri-Cities office at the Port of Pasco. Before I close, I want to give a shout out to Lori Matson. She and I get to work together on the AWB Institute Board, which in partnership with higher education recently launched a new internship portal to connect businesses in this community with college students to bring them to this community. Thank you, Lori, for your advocacy and your leadership on behalf of this region. In closing, I want to express our appreciation to the Tri-Cities Regional Chamber for the opportunity to sponsor this event and to encourage everyone to support the port in your community, get involved, and help them make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim and Brian and McKay Sposito for sponsoring our luncheon today. Wow, what a great advocate and a great spokesperson for ports in the Tri-Cities. Tim's obviously very passionate, and he mentioned this intern portal. Tim is really involved with AWB and was really instrumental in putting this portal together and launching it and helping to get the Tri-Cities as a pilot site. So it's really been great working with you, Tim, and we appreciate your sponsorship today. So now I'd like to turn things over to the chair of the Chamber's Board of Directors, Shay Frigette. Hi, Shay. How are you today?
Hi, Lori. Thank you so much. And hello to everybody watching. If you're in the Tri-Cities, I hope you are enjoying this beautifully sunny day. This is going to be a great program discussing our ports. The Port of Benton, Port of Kennewick, and Port of Pasco have teamed up with PS Media for today's opening video titled, "What is a Port?"
What is a port? Why do we have them? Why 3 port districts? Port districts were authorized by the state in 1911 to encourage waterfront commerce. Since then, their economic development roles have expanded beyond the waterfront to building and operating airports, marinas, marine terminals, railroads, and industrial parks, to acting as a catalyst for community revitalization, business development, and tourism. In our state, port districts are established by citizen vote. There are 75 port districts in Washington state, from massive districts like Port of Seattle to very small districts like Port of Colodes. Yet they all share the same mission: economic development. Port of Kennewick was formed in 1915 and is the oldest port in eastern Washington. Port of Kennewick covers most of East Benton County, including Kennewick, Richland, West Richland, and a portion of Benton City. Port of Pasco was formed in 1940. Port of Pasco covers most of Franklin County from Pasco to Connell. Port of Benton was formed in 1958. The Port of Benton covers most of West Benton County, including Richland, Benton City, and Prosser. Each port uniquely evolved since being established, and they continue to engage in those activities which best address the changing needs of their districts.
For today's format, we're going to hear directly from each of the ports. We're going to start with the Port of Benton. So let's check out the video that they prepared.
Is it just me, or was 2020 nuts?
Welcome to the State of the Ports. Although last year was challenging, we accomplished a lot. After all, opportunity starts here.
First and foremost, we ensured a safe work environment for our team and tenants, instituting COVID protocols and staggering staff shifts to remain flexible to meet our tenants' needs. These measures minimized our occupancy loss to less than 7%. We filled our newest building in Vintners Village in Prosser, with Watoma Springs, Sister to Sister on the Ave, and Domenico Cellars joined the 10 wineries and related businesses. This popular destination continues to help increase Prosser tourism, bringing wine tasting, craft beer, baked goods, and boutique wares. In addition, we focus on recreational tourism with improvements and repairs to Crow Butte Park near Patterson to give our guests a safe outdoor place to go. Our new Crow Butte Park website makes reservation and park access easier, enabling visitors to pay for parking passes ahead of time for a fully contactless experience. Also, we're currently updating the master plan for the Richland Airport. Our goal is to increase air traffic by 40% to support area expansion, giving local businesses more regional business and tourism travel options. Rail transportation is equally important, which is why the port invested $2 million to improve safety on our railroad bridges. And as we know that entrepreneurship fuels growth, so the port, along with our partners Richland Rotary, Tridec, Fuse, and the Regional Chamber, hosted the 24th Annual Entrepreneurship Awards to highlight promising businesses. Our initiatives are guided by a 10-year strategic plan to attract new businesses and support the region's growth and vitality. In fact, we recently collaborated on a new Discover Richland website to share and leverage the region's competitive advantages. Looking ahead, the Port of Benton intends to invest in land improvements to foster innovation clusters and private investment, recruit advanced manufacturing companies, support clean energy research to attract businesses and new industries, and promote STEM tourism. We will continue to support Benton City's downtown redevelopment, Prosser's agribusiness land sales in Vintners Village, and education and tourism with our new partner and operator of the Walter Clore Center. These initiatives are possible because of our regional economic development partners. In the months and years to come, we know that collectively we will emerge more vital than ever, ready to grow our area and take this region to new heights.
Thank you to our commissioners, the downtown associations, each of our counties, cities, chambers, and other partners for working with us to provide services and support of our local businesses. We would like to thank our healthcare providers and frontline workers for their service and dedication to our community during this unprecedented time. We're optimistic about the future and inspired by the opportunities ahead because we know our work is vital to the prosperity of the region and makes a difference in the lives of our community members. Thank you.
Thank you to the Port of Benton for that video. That was a really informative video. Thank you. The Port of Kennewick has also prepared a video for us to watch next. Let's take a look.
Economic development is the Port of Kennewick's mission. We work to foster jobs, build infrastructure, and enhance the quality of life in the Tri-Cities and surrounding region. During 2020, the Port of Kennewick continued engaging in transparent urban planning, working to revitalize Kennewick's historic waterfront district, and constructing a regional town center in place of the former Vista Field Airport. On Clover Island, the port and its partners have been working to add public amenities, improve the shoreline, and create access to the Columbia River. And this past year prompted more people to use the Clover Island Marina, boat launch, and shoreline trails than ever before. Understanding the desire for expanded waterfront recreation, the port and its partners continued working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to design for restoration of the Clover Island shoreline. Nearby, the port and its partners worked to bring additional improvements and new businesses to the Columbia Gardens Wine and Artisan Village. Early last year, the port finished construction of a fourth winery building and additional parking areas. That effort brought Cave B Estate Winery and Gordon Estate Winery tasting rooms to the Columbia Gardens. Those businesses were excited to join the Monarca Palencia Wine Company and Bartholomew Winery. The port also added a shade structure, lighting, and seating improvements to the Columbia Gardens Food Truck Plaza. Columbia Gardens is now home to a cluster of permanent food trucks offering a variety of cuisine. The wineries and food trucks are open, and the Columbia Gardens Wine and Artisan Village is evolving into a destination area with inspiring artworks, great food, wonderful wines, and a recreational path, all nestled alongside a scenic nature pond. And by this summer, we will have finalized a community-driven master plan for the next decade of port investments within Kennewick's historic waterfront district. At Vista Field, the port continued working to create a vibrant, pedestrian-focused development which features mixed-use neighborhoods and urban lifestyle amenities. With financial support from City of Kennewick, Benton County, and Benton PUD, the first phase of Vista Field infrastructure has been completed, including streets, sidewalks, lighting, landscaping, a pond, fountains, plaza, and meandering streamside path. The port is now working to create an owners association and prepare lots in the central 20 acres. Parcels will be sold to the private sector for commercial, retail, and residential development, and the proceeds will help fund future phases of infrastructure until the entire 103-acre site plan is complete. And while the historic waterfront district and Vista Field redevelopment have been our main areas of focus, the port had also partnered with both West Richland and the City of Richland on economic benefit and public safety projects. The Port of Kennewick will continue serving as an economic development catalyst throughout its 485 square mile district. And just as it has done since its founding in 1915, the port will foster partnerships and implement creative work plans which address evolving community needs. The Port of Kennewick. We're working for you.
Thank you to the Port of Kennewick for that video. It's exciting to see the progress of the Vista Field project. Well, last but certainly not least is the Port of Pasco. So let's take a look at the video they prepared.
Hi, I'm Randy Hayden, the Executive Director for the Port of Pasco. Thanks for joining us today as we explore the many great things our local ports are doing in our community. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to the Port of Pasco Commissioners, Jim Klindworth, President, Vicki Gordon, Vice President, and Gene Reichman, Secretary. Our commissioners have a vast amount of experience in insurance, public power, the wine industry, and real estate, and serve the port's interests well. The Port of Pasco encompasses land located in southeast Washington at the confluence of the Snake and Columbia Rivers, nearly all of Franklin County except for the northeast section around the Port of Colotis. The port's properties are the Wharf, Big Pasco Industrial Center and Container Barge Terminal, Osprey Point, the Tri-Cities Airport, Airport Industrial Park, Airport Business Center, Pasco Processing Center, Foster Wells Business Center, and our newest addition, the Ryman Industrial Center. These properties host a mix of industrial, commercial, and transportation-related businesses and functions. Up until February of 2020, the Tri-Cities Airport had seen a steady increase in passengers flying out of the Tri-Cities Airport. This is due to the population increase and the consolidation of air services in southeast Washington and active marketing. The airline industry took a hit across the board in March 2020 with the lowest numbers in April because of COVID. Since then, it has been a slow recovery, ending 2020 at 57% down for the year to date. The Tri-Cities Airport is still flying direct flights to Seattle, Salt Lake, Denver, Minneapolis, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Mesa, and LA seasonally. We received good news earlier this month when Allegiant Air announced they were going to start new direct service to San Diego. Operationally, we've had to make significant cuts to our budget to account for the lost passenger revenues, but we are greatly helped by the Federal CARES Act grant to airports that's allowing us to make our major bond payments from the airport expansion project. As business and personal travel resume, choosing to fly local will help the Tri-Cities Airport recover from the setbacks it has faced this year and continue to increase its offerings of direct flights around the country. Please come and support your local airport. I also want to call out Carl and Eleanor Bergstrom, who immigrated from Sweden in 1965, chasing the American dream all the way to Pasco, Washington, where they opened Carl A. Bergstrom Aircraft Service in 1971. Now the second generation of family, Malin and Daniel Bergstrom, have taken over the reins as president and vice president and have steadily grown the business under Carl and Eleanor's watchful eyes. The port salutes Bergstrom Aircraft for their 50 years as the Tri-Cities' largest fixed-base operator. Moving on to our Airport Business Center, located next to the airport and across Argent from CBC, has recently seen quite a bit of activity. A1 Hospitality opened the Courtyard Marriott at the beginning of 2020, boasting 99 rooms, a bistro, and beautiful outdoor seating area. The Landing is soon to break ground just down the street from the Marriott and includes plans for a flex building and multi-tenant retail building that will serve travelers, locals, and CBC students alike. This past summer, the port completed construction on a new research hangar for Battelle, who operates the Atmospheric Research Program for the Department of Energy. The Foster Wells Business Park, located off 395, is a light industrial park that was conceived in 1995 from the idea of providing space for business that would support the large food processors in the adjacent Pasco Processing Center. Foster Wells is now at full capacity and is home to businesses such as Second Harvest, Rock Placing Company, Global Track LLC, Volm, Pioneer Packaging, Kenyon Zero, and Teton Gold. With the recent sales at Foster Wells and the Pasco Processing Center, the port's inventory of large industrial tracts has been depleted. Since large-scale industrial development is one of the key components of the port's economic development strategy, we moved north, purchasing 300 acres from Balcom & Moe for the development of the next industrial park. This acquisition took place in the fall of 2019, and the $6.5 million purchase was funded through the port's Economic Development Reserve Fund and a loan from the Hanford Area Economic Investment Fund. The new park was named the Ryman Industrial Center in honor of former Port Commissioner Ron Ryman, who worked tirelessly as an advocate for Washington's ag industry. The port is working with the City of Pasco, Franklin County, Franklin PUD, and TRIDEC to install the necessary infrastructure to make this park as successful as its predecessors. Ryman already has the master planning and marketing in place, and the site will be developed into 9 large rail-served lots of 20-plus acres and 14 lots of 2 to 5 acres. When fully developed, the Ryman Industrial Center could generate over 3,000 jobs and bring in up to $400 million in private capital investments. With the Ryman Industrial Center planning well underway, the port is looking for new opportunities to fulfill its development strategy. One of the most exciting pieces of development news is on the premier waterfront development of Osprey Point. It will be the only commercial levy-free waterfront property in Franklin County with no core ownership. The port's vision for this beautiful piece of property has been a mix of office, retail, restaurant buildings, and residential, all while enhancing the access and use of the public waterfront. The port is working with a private developer, JMS, who shares our vision, and we are diligently working together to transform the property into a vibrant waterfront destination for Pasco and the whole region. JMS Homes is a Tri-Cities-based developer working on a transformative plan to turn Osprey Point into this master plan development, with a wide range of residential options, new commercial space, restaurants to capture the waterfront lifestyle, a 60,000 square foot public market, waterfront hotel, and an indoor-outdoor entertainment venue for concerts, theatrical productions, and more. We're currently working on a development agreement and master plan for the site, along with a new waterfront zoning code with the City of Pasco to bring the plans to reality. The initial phase of the project includes the public market and could begin as early as summer of this year. And finally, even further north than the Ryman Industrial Center is the North Franklin Visitor Center, located in Connell, Washington. Thanks to the port and the partnership with the City of Connell and the Connell Chamber of Commerce, an unused doctor's office has been transformed into a beautiful visitor center. The center will welcome visitors to the north side of Franklin County to explore the many businesses, activities, and history of the area. As always, it has been a pleasure sharing information about the projects the port is working on, as well as our efforts to promote continued economic growth and stability in our region. Thank you.
Thank you to the Port of Pasco for that video. And now that everyone has an idea about what the ports are up to, we have the port executives here to answer any questions you might have. But let me first introduce our guests. Diana Howard was named the Port of Benton's Executive Director in 2019. Diane is the first female to hold the Port of Benton Executive Director position and the first Executive Director with Latina heritage among the 75 port districts within Washington State. Diane, welcome, and I'm so glad to get to chat with you.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Just very pleased to be here and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you to the Chamber. Thank you, Shay.
Can't wait to chat with you. Tim Arnzen has been the Chief Executive Officer for the Port of Kennewick since 2004. During Tim's tenure, the port has received Governor's Award for Workforce and Economic Development Best Practices, River Shore Enhancement, Columbia Drive redevelopment, Vista Field master planning, and the Governor's Heritage Award for significant contributions to Washington State's creative vitality. Tim, welcome.
Thank you very much, Shay. My pleasure to be here.
I can't wait to ask you some questions, Tim. And finally, Randy Hayden is the executive director at the Port of Pasco. We just heard from Randy, where he has worked for the past 20 years. He oversees the port's 2 large industrial parks, barge terminal, intermodal rail yard, commercial properties, and the Tri-Cities Regional Airport. Randy, welcome.
Thank you, Shay. It's good to be here.
And for those of you watching, if you have any questions for our speakers, please type them into the Zoom using the Q&A function. We do have some pre-submitted questions to start with, but I promise you, if you have some questions, we'll try our best to get to them. Diane, my first question is for you, and it's about that 1,641 acres. Has there been any interest in the port's portion of those acres in North Richland? And if so, can you elaborate and share any updates?
Thank you for the question, Shay. And also, first and foremost, I'd also like to recognize our team, your team at the Port of Benton, who has really taken on some big initiatives this year, over the last year. Just a shout out to them to say thank you. And back to your question, Shay, regarding North Horn Rapids. Over the last 2 years, we've had 4 companies that have expressed interest, and we've held site visits actually on the project site. Working with Tridec, we've responded to over 6 requests for information within the last 8 months, particularly around general manufacturing, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and logistics. The potentials of these new jobs from these prospects was estimated at about 2,000 jobs with an annual payroll of about $68 million, which is why this area is such a key focus for us. However, we need sewer and electrical infrastructure to be brought into the site before it can be truly deemed and shovel ready. These sites range in a size of 150 to 400 acres in size. And so we're actively working on state legislation known as tax increment financing. A previous version of this was used by both the city of Richland and the city of Kennewick, along with their port partners on Southridge and in North Richland. Really, we see this as a key piece to helping us get this done and accomplish, as well as grant opportunities that we're also out pursuing. We work not only with Tridec on recruitment, but we also work retention of existing companies and recruitment directly. And also to support these ongoing efforts, we put together the landing page that was highlighted in the video today. Again, discoverrichland.com, just to highlight the area's assets and capabilities, and quite honestly, our professional and technical companies that are key to, I believe, our success and our future. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for answering that. Sometimes you see kind of movement in areas, and it's great to get the inside scoop. Thank you for that, Diane. Tim, I have a question for you regarding Clover Island. What's next over on Clover Island and Columbia Drive?
Well, Shay, thank you for the question. The Port Commission authorized a master plan for what we call the waterfront, the Clover Island area proper, and the area that the port owns between the cable bridge on the east and Clover Island Drive on the west. So that area is what we're referring to as the Kennewick waterfront. We have commissioned a company called Makers out of the Seattle area, and ironically, they did the first master planning effort back in about 2004, I want to say. Many of the objectives of the first master plan have actually come to fruition over the years. Port Commission realized the need to engage with the public, with stakeholders, with business people that are currently in the area, people that want to come into the area, to kind of get a new roadmap in front of us. And it's a pretty exciting time. But one of the challenges is when you do master planning efforts now, post-COVID, you don't do it the old-fashioned way where you get 50, 75 people in a room and ask them to go up to the big board and put their ideas up there. So it really threw a curveball to us, and we worked, and we were one of the first master planning efforts that goes all virtual. And that's saying quite a bit, because I don't even have a Facebook page. I'm not really, that much of an expert on social media and doing things virtually, but I have a tremendous staff that can help us with all these things. And again, working with the consultant, we did this virtually, and the participation is about threefold of what we could have expected if we had done it live. And we're probably 75% through the master planning efforts. And it's amazing when you do that, when you hear what the public wants to see you do. And you might think, well, gee, maybe the public doesn't care, they don't really notice. But once you get the public outreach, I'm amazed with how in tune the public is with what we're doing and some of the great ideas coming from them. So more things to come. I would hope that we can unveil the master plan publicly early this summer, and then put some things in the budget for next year to really start rocking and rolling. But thank you for asking.
I appreciate, and I'm sure our viewers can appreciate that even with some of the setbacks with the pandemic, you're still making the effort to utilize virtual engagement with the public to still get insight. So that's very much appreciated. Randy, you talked a lot about the projects that the Port of Pasco is working on and some of the things that we visibly can see that the Port of Pasco is working on. Can you elaborate more on some of maybe the top priorities that we may not have heard about?
Sure. Well, I think the video covered it pretty well, so maybe I could just elaborate on those. But one of our main goals at the Port of Pasco is to encourage large industrial growth. And we like to do that to focus on large industrial because it provides sustainable jobs and a healthy tax base for Franklin County. So to those ends, our number one priority is preparing, like Diane said, some shovel-ready sites for large business. And as you saw in the video, we acquired 300 acres for the new Ryman Industrial Center. And we're currently working with our partners at the city, county, PUD, TRIDEC, and our state legislators to fund and install all the infrastructure that's needed by those large businesses. And it's been surprising. We're already seeing very strong interest from the business sector on Ryman. Food processing certainly did not slow down during COVID, at least from what we're seeing. So much so that, in fact, we're looking at another 90-acre piece of ground for a second industrial park just because of all the interest that's out there. Food processors would be one of our main targets, along with other manufacturers, data centers, and support industries. And we're also, besides land, have been on a mission to acquire water rights because the future industry is going to need water, and that's just becoming a more valuable and limited commodity. And on the commercial development side, our top priority is that beautiful Osprey Point waterfront development that was in the video. We are just super excited about working with JMS to transform Osprey Point into a regional destination venue for the entire Northwest.
Very cool. You're doing a lot of really cool projects, a lot of really cool things.
They really are.
And Diane, I know just like with the Port of Pasco and Randy's video, you did cover a lot of the things that you're working on. I'm excited to get to visit Watama Springs and DeMonico over in that beautiful new space that you have, as well as Sister to Sisters new space. Any other target areas you see on the horizon?
Absolutely. You know, we're always continuing to be open and be flexible, but our focus remains, just as Randy mentioned, value-added ag across our district, from Richland to Prosser, and food processing predominantly. Supporting our local businesses and entrepreneurship is another key priority for the Port of Benton. And really, I think the big opportunity that's in front of us all right now is advanced reactor demonstration projects, the ADRP projects. First being NuScale, who's working with Idaho National Lab and Utah Municipal Power, but located right here in Richland. And then just recently, October of 2020, DOE announced $160 million small modular reactor collaboration between Energy Northwest, X Energy, and Terra Power, again happening right here in North Richland. So it's going to be important. Appreciate Tim's mention about the virtual community forums. It's going to be important for us to work with our community to learn more information about, quite honestly, how the nuclear industry has changed. The safety of these new designs, their fuels and technologies really could be a true game changer for our region. These projects also, if secured for our community, will not only help us meet our goals, but also help the state meet their desired goals within the Energy Act called CETA, or Clean Energy Transformation Act, where they're striving to bring Washington State's electrical supply free of greenhouse gas emissions by 2045. So we really are excited about the opportunity, what could be secured. for our region and how we could help support the advocacy of that moving forward and communicating with our community and the local governments.
Excellent. Thank you for that. You mentioned that when you started answering the question, you mentioned small business in there, and there was a question from the audience around that, and I'll toss this for anyone who from our panel who wants to address this. The question is, the pandemic has created economic challenges for families and small businesses throughout our region. How do you see your role and priorities for helping small businesses recover? And again, anyone on our panel, Randy, Tim, or Diane, feel free to chime in to answer that one.
I can jump in. I'd say it's mostly for our port. It's indirectly. We do have a number of small businesses that lease our facilities at the Port of Pasco, and like many ports, when we started being hit with COVID and business downturn, we offered a rent deferral program to help those businesses weather the storm, so that their rent could be deferred until such time as they recovered. And to be honest with you, we didn't have that many folks take part in that. I think a lot of our small businesses were doing okay. On the indirect side, I think what we do with large business is just making sure that we have those sustainable jobs that are in our community, and hopefully those are the ones that work there that are supporting our small businesses during this time, and going and getting takeout from the restaurants or helping in other ways with contracting projects or things like that. So I think it takes a wide variety of different types of jobs to help our small business community and our communities as a whole stay healthy during this time.
I'll also pick up on that a little bit if you would like, and also share that thank you to Benton County and TRIDEC for their work on getting dollars placed into the community and supporting our local small businesses. The other thing that we've been advocating for is Small Business Development Center funding to help get technical assistance to our small businesses, and we work with them directly one-on-one. So anything that we can do to be continuing to advocate, talk, and share, but really want to give a shout out to the local governments, specifically Benton County and TRIDEC, for all of their efforts in the downtowns.
Thank you, Diane. Tim, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I respect and understand the comments of my colleagues, and we're experiencing a lot of the things that they've discussed as well. Typical of all three of our ports is that you have small business people that are really the backbone of our communities, and those are the ones that were the hardest hit. And like the other two ports, we have provided some rent deferral, and because the state has some pretty stringent laws on what you can and can't do, all you can do is defer the rent and hopefully get them fast forwarded several months down the road when they're open and healthy and thriving again, and then they can pay you back the rent. I wish we could have done more. I know our port commissioners wish we could have done more, but with the Constitution and the state auditors, there's only so much we can do. The other thing that we're doing at Port of Kennewick is we're working with an esteemed economist to try to help us predict out what we might see near term and midterm, because this obviously is a new phenomenon for everybody, state, local, national, global. And I want to find out what trends are out there, and we've all seen some of them. For example, residential, ironically, stayed strong. Commercial, getting a little bit soft. One of the things we're looking at the Port of Kennewick is what's going to happen to our revenues, because we have to stay healthy. So part of what we're doing is trying to be proactive. We're going to dive right into this report. Nobody has a crystal ball, but we want to prepare, and hopefully, in a sense, our report will be moot because we'll be coming out of this in a couple months. But just in the event that we don't come out of it as quickly as we want to, we're going to be prepared. The other thing is some of the things have changed and are going to change. We're not going back to the way things were. And I think one of the ways that we can position our port to be better for the future is to understand what things have changed and will not go back to the way they were. For example, we're seeing people working from home, and we're seeing people being every bit as productive working from home as they were at the office. And it used to be called a work from home policy. Now it's being called a work from anywhere policy because, I don't know, Randy looks like he's in his office, but he could be all the way across the country for all we know and still be productive. So what we want to do is try to figure out what's out there in front of us and what might the future look like. So we're kind of diving into this and trying to get some economic help on helping us look through the crystal ball.
Yeah, I'm sure that that everybody's navigating just as our ports are navigating and really trying to prepare and plan and figure this thing out. But let's talk hurdles. Are there any political hurdles that you're seeing from Olympia that could inhibit development, or any plans for development that you might have? That's part one of this question that I'll toss to any of you, Diane, Randy, or Tim. And the second part of that is, as you identify those hurdles, how can today's listeners help with those?
Sure, I've got a couple right off the top of my head I'd like to bring up, and thank you for that question. It's so important that we pay attention to what is coming out of Olympia in this session. The two big ones for us are kind of greenhouse gas reductions, and tied up with that is elimination of natural gas usage, both in homes and businesses. And for our large ag food processors, they rely on natural gas to fuel their dryers that they use in their food processing. And if we eliminate that really efficient source of heat for the food processors, that makes our state far less attractive for them to locate in. And the solution is to go to electrification for all those needs that natural gas is supplying. And as we continue to defend our Snake River dams, there just does not seem to be the infrastructure to support moving all that natural gas to electrification right now. So that's one that we're really keeping an eye on. The other is new overtime rules that have been put in place for our ag growers, and paying the ag workers overtime. And that's a challenge to a lot of our growers who are having to pay that. But the worst thing is that they've also made it retroactive for 3 years by a Supreme Court ruling. So there is a bill in the legislature to not make that retroactive 3 years. It'd be like you and any of your business, somebody came in and said, hey, you're doing everything right, but by the way, we just changed the law, so we want to go back 3 years and make you pay what you owe us for this last 3 years since we changed the rules on you. So that's an important one for all of our ag growers in the state and our county. So I think, how can you help? It's the usual thing. It's, if you've got some good stories on those items to share, how it would affect you, let your legislators know, let me know, let us other port directors know, and we can try and get those stories and messages to the legislators, because that's really, I think, what moves people, is when you've got real world stories to share.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Randy. Diane, Tim, any political hurdles you see that could be a roadblock to development, and anything you want our listeners to know that they can do to help?
I think Randy covered it. I would just tie back in that it's a mix of sources of clean energy. That's why I brought up the federal projects. And, our community was called on nationally back in the 40s to help in World War II. We're being called on again to be a part of the solution. And I think that's education of our businesses, education of our community members. So when the time is right and we need to call on you, we need your advocacy, and we do need your stories. There's some amazing local, small, innovative companies here, technical, fantastic work that they do, and we need to start telling their stories. So I think Randy covered it very well, though. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, for the audience, we just have a few more minutes left in our luncheon. Wow, time flies. This is going by so fast. So we only have just a few minutes left. And so if you have a burning question that you really want to get in front of Randy, Diane, and Tim, then please type that into the Q&A. And I get those things sent over to me that I can see, and I'll be sure and ask. But Tim, I do have a question for you, and this one's around, Columbia Gardens and Vista Field. Is there any impact from the COVID pandemic that's going to block future development of those plans that you can share?
Yeah, well, again, that kind of dovetails back to us taking a look at the crystal ball through the economic study. one of the negatives at Vista Field, we have 3 commercial aircraft hangars that we purchased. We wanted to repurpose those. We started in on a pretty neat, quick little study on what we could make them. We started the study before COVID. We came up with some great ideas of little breweries and maybe, public spaces where vendors could set up their wares, sell olive oil, et cetera, kind of a really neat thing. And then as the report got finished, we realized these are all the things that are suffering most. So that was a little bit of a negative with respect to Vista Field. On the positive side, who would have guessed that Clover Island would have had its busiest season ever? Because as people did a great job of social distancing, they found out that they could go out in their boat. They found that they could walk the island. So we saw a lot of activity on Clover Island, which was great to see. The wine village, the food trucks down there did just a tremendous business. So, we had some good and some bad through the COVID. And like I say, there will be lessons that all of us will learn that we better write down and say, the new way of doing business is going to be the new way of doing business. But yeah, Shay, we had a little bit of up and down with COVID.
Yeah, as we, that tends to be the theme, and it just kind of seems like something you said earlier of navigating and planning the best way we can, and also being open to, when we do come out of this, how our new normal is going to look. It may not look the same way, and so just being ready and prepared for that. Time just went by so fast. I have really appreciated you sharing your insights and updates with the ports. I've had so much fun chatting with you and getting some the real deal on what's going on. So thank you very much. And I also want to thank our guests for chiming in and for listening. But I want to turn it back over to Diane, Randy, and Tim for any final thoughts you have for the audience before we let you go. And I'll start with you, Diane.
Thank you, Shay. I just wanted to say thank you again so much for the opportunity to learn a little bit more about what we do each and every day, but also to thank you for just your ongoing efforts in business. Keep us informed. We want to advocate for you. We are really working hard to be ready post-COVID to support our community moving forward around opportunities and investments. So we want to just be a part of the solution. We want to be listening. We want you to know that we are listening. Please go to our website for any information that you're needing to stay updated on our Richland Airport Master Plan, on our strategic plan, on any of our other projects and pieces. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
And thank you, Diane. Tim, any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Yes, thank you. Again, thanks to the Chamber for giving us this opportunity. I'd like to hire Tim Schauer to do all of our promotion for us because he did such a fantastic job. Tim, a good friend of mine. But what I'd like to say is to our community, and this doesn't just come from me, it comes from my staff, the commissioners. We're heartbroken over what has happened in our community, to see the suffering of small businesses. And when you ask what can the legislature do, maybe they can learn from this and lighten up some of the regulations on small business people, because going through COVID is tough enough, and then we saddle them with more and more regulation, and we expect better results than we've got in the past. Our hearts go out to the small businesses, to the families of this community. I think overall we've done a wonderful job of staying a community. A number of us in our community have had losses in our families, and that's, again, heartbreaking. But to me, that defines 2020 and probably going into 2021. We are proving at the family level, at the small business level, to be more resilient than COVID-19, but we've suffered our share of losses. I just want you to know at Port of Kennewick, we recognize that, and anything we can do to lighten the burden on small business and families, I think that's what we ought to do. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tim. Randy.
Thank you, Shay. And again, thank you to the Tri-Cities Chamber for the opportunity to speak with you today. And I'll just echo what Tim said. I'm just so proud to be in the Tri-Cities and be part of this community. I think we really rolled up our sleeves. We faced this challenge strongly, and glad that we are hopefully coming to the other end of it. And I look forward to seeing all of you in person next year for State of the Ports Luncheon.
I look forward to that too. Thank you, Randy. Well, it wouldn't be a chamber luncheon without door prizes. We have a beautiful spring basket of flowers from our longtime door prize contributor, Just Roses. Congratulations to Nick Quaker with the Port of Kennewick, whose name was randomly drawn prior to the start of this program. Elizabeth Holt will be reaching out to you, Nick, so that you can collect that prize of those absolutely beautiful flowers. And before I wrap up today, I want to sincerely thank the Port of Benton, Port of Kennewick, and Port of Pasco for today's video presentations. And of course, thank you so much to my panelists, Diane Howard, Tim Arnzen, and Randy Hayden, for answering your questions. You guys were so delightful to chat and connect with. McKay Esposito for sponsoring today's luncheon. Thank you so very much. And thank you to all of you who joined us virtually this afternoon. A video of today's luncheon will be posted on the Chamber's YouTube channel and shared on our Facebook page. Please pass the link along to your friends, family, and coworkers. And we hope that you join us on Wednesday, March 24th for the Chamber's State of Higher Education Virtual Luncheon, sponsored by GISA Credit Union. We'll be joined by WSU Tri-Cities Chancellor Sandra Haynes, as well as CBC President Rebecca Woods. You can register for that luncheon at tricityregionalchamber.com. Thank you again so very much for joining us today. Have a beautiful rest of your week.